welcome back to Rules as Written Character Builds. My name is Zach, and on this channel I make character builds for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, trying to strike a balance between theme and combat capabilities. I want to take a quick second to thank all the subscribers to the channel. This past week we hit 100, and that was really cool for me to see that, so I really appreciate all the support, everybody who's watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. It always makes my day, so I really appreciate it. So this week, we're going to be making a burly and lethal brawler by combining the rogue and the monk classes. Now I know that that's 2 weeks in a row using the monk class to supplement our builds. 2014 me would never have believed how much I love the class now, but it's pretty good. It rounds out your action economy, it gives you a bunch of extra attacks. I'm always making melee builds on this channel, so we'll probably be seeing a lot more monk. But I swear after this, I'm going to take at least a month off from monk, so get ready to see some more fighter, I guess. Anyway, our main strength of this character is going to be ambushes and dealing a cartload of extra damage in the first round of combat. We're also building into a pretty good amount of extra attacks, so this character is going to feel less like a traditional Dungeons & Dragons rogue who makes one big attack per turn, and more like a World of Warcraft rogue with a lightning quick attack speed, layering in punches and kicks to increase the damage per second, or should I say damage per round. Let's get into the build. Since we're trying to build into a character with exceptional ambush ability, there's really only one option for our species, and that's Bugbear. Our main feature from the Bugbear species is called Surprise Attack. If you hit a creature with an attack roll, the creature takes an extra 2d6 damage if it hasn't taken a turn yet in the current combat. I almost didn't believe this ability when I first saw it. I mean, I know it's situational, only usable in the first round of combat, and you can only use it on creatures that haven't gone yet, so you have to beat their initiative. But when all the stars aligned, if you have a lot of extra attacks in your build, this is just a ridiculous amount of extra damage. For our ability scores, we need to prioritize dexterity, of course. We're also going to give some love to our wisdom and our constitution. Our strength score is going to be a 10, dexterity 15, constitution 13, intelligence 10, wisdom 15, and charisma 8. For our background, we are taking the criminal origin, increasing our dexterity by +2 and our constitution by +1. This gets us the alert origin feat, which gives us the following features. Initiative proficiency. When you roll initiative, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll. Initiative swap. Immediately after you roll initiative, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. You can't make this swap if either you or the ally has the incapacitated condition. Now you already know that we want to go first. And along with being a high dexterity character, this feat is going to go a long way in making sure that we at least beat somebody, so we can put our extra damage in there. Now let's take a look at our character roadmap. Level 1, we're going to go rogue. This will get us sneak attack and weapon mastery. Then for levels 2 through 6, we're going to be going monk, getting martial arts, unarmored defense, monk's focus, touch of death, an ability score improvement, and extra attack. Then levels 7 through 20, we're going to be going with rogue levels 2 through 15, picking up assassinate, some ability score improvements, cunning strike, reliable talent, and venom weapons and devious strikes. So starting in rogue gets us our sneak attack feature. Once per turn, you can deal an extra 1d6 damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll if you have advantage on the roll and the attack uses a finesse or ranged weapon. The extra damage increases as you gain rogue levels, as shown in the sneak attack column of the rogue features table. You don't need advantage on the attack roll if at least one of your allies is within 5 feet of the target, the ally doesn't have the incapacitated condition, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. This is the main rogue damage dealer, and 2024 added some exciting new ways to play with the ability, which we'll be going into later. We also get the weapon mastery feature, getting to choose 2 weapons. Since we want to make sure we can get advantage on our attack rolls for sneak attack, we're going to be going with a weapon that grants Vex, the short sword. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn, as well as a weapon that grants Nick, which in this case will be the dagger. When you make the extra attack of the light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action. You can make this extra attack only once per turn. Now the dagger is only doing 1d4 damage, however, once we make it to our monk levels, it'll count as a monk weapon, and the damage dice will go up. I want to pick up the dagger because it has the thrown property, and the nick property can work with weapons that you throw. So we can throw 2 daggers per turn now, and 3 once we get extra attack. Just a little bit of ranged capability that we can work into the build in case the situation calls for it. Now, we won't ever be getting 2-weapon fighting with this build, so that extra nick attack is never going to benefit from our ability modifier. But that's okay because we're going to have other ways to improve our damage. So right here at level 1, we're already a pretty capable ambusher. We can add our proficiency bonus to our initiative, making our total modifier a +5. We can make 2 attacks with our action, the first one being with the short sword. If we hit a target who hasn't taken a turn yet, they take an extra 2d6 damage on any attack. We can then make an attack with our dagger, thanks to the nick property, which, if the short sword attack hits, the dagger attack will have advantage, thanks to Vex. And it will include our sneak attack because of the advantage for a total of 1d4 and 3d6 damage. That's 1d4 and 6d6 plus 3 for a single action at level 1. Definitely not bad. This has got to be up there with the situationally, but still, one of the most damaging level 1 builds. Now at character level 2, we're going into Monk, and we'll be getting Martial Arts and Unarmored Defense. Martial Arts. While unarmored and wielding only monk weapons, you gain the following benefits. Bonus Unarmed Strike. You can make an Unarmed Strike as a bonus action. Martial Arts die. Your attacks with unarmed strikes and monk weapons use your martial arts die for their damage rolls. Dexterous attacks. You can use dexterity instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes and monk weapons, as well as for your shoves and grapples. With the bonus Unarmed Strike feature, we can now make 3 total attacks per turn, meaning our first round ambush will now be dealing a total of 10d6 plus 6 potential damage. Unarmored Defense. While you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield, your base armor class equals 10 plus your dexterity and wisdom modifiers. We'll get Monk's Focus at character level 3. This is our source of focus points and the features we can spend them on. And we all know and love Step of the Wind and Patient Defense for the movement speed and the defense, but what we're really here for in this build is Flurry of Blows. You can expend 1 focus point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. I love how these first few monk levels just pile the extra attacks on. Now we can make 4 attacks on our ambush round for a total of 13d6 plus 9 potential damage. At character level 4, we'll get our monk subclass, and we're choosing Long Death for the Touch of Death feature. Your Study of Death allows you to extract vitality from another creature as it nears its demise. When you reduce a creature within 5 feet of you to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Wisdom modifier plus your monk level, minimum of 1 temporary hit point. Now, because we're only going 5 levels in Monk, we'll never get another subclass feature. But I feel like this is a good one for us because of the amount of damage that we deal. We should be reducing creatures to 0 hit points fairly often, so this is going to give us some additional sustain throughout fights. It also combines well with the new Monk feature Deflect Attacks, which reduces the damage you take from an attack on a reaction. Reducing the damage we take makes the temporary hit points last a little bit longer. At character level 5, we'll get our first of 5 ability score improvements. Take the Poisoner feat, increasing your dexterity by +1 to 18. This gives us the following features. Potent Poison. Your poison damage ignores resistance to poison damage. Brew Poison. Over the course of an hour, you can spend 50 gold pieces of materials and brew a number of poison doses equal to your proficiency modifier. You can apply this poison to a weapon using a bonus action. It remains for 1 minute. The first time you hit a creature with that weapon, it must make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, it takes 2d8 poison damage and is poisoned until the end of your next turn. We'll be getting more poison damage from our Rogue subclass later, so this is on theme. Plus, if we can apply the poison before a fight, the extra 2d8 damage is nice for no action economy cost. Character level 6 gets us extra attack and also an increase to the damage of our monk weapons and unarmed strikes up to a d8. Remember, our dagger and short sword are monk weapons as well, so they'll be doing a d8 damage now. Basically as good as a longsword at this point. With extra attack, we can now make a total of 5 attacks in 1 round, and if we get the drop on someone, which our initiative bonus is now at +7, so that's likely, all 5 attacks will be dealing 1d8 and 2d6, and one of them will be a sneak attack, dealing an additional 1d6 damage. Plus our Poisoner feat will let us add 2d8 poison damage if we've applied the poison ahead of time. That's 7d8 and 11d6 plus 16 potential overall damage. 5 attacks is the most that we're going to be getting with this build, but heading back into Rogue is going to increase our sneak attack dice, so we'll still keep that damage scaling as we level up. And that's all she wrote for Monk. We're now a level 6 character, and our remaining 14 levels will be spent in Rogue, like I mentioned. Character level 8 gets us our Rogue subclass, and we are taking Assassin, granting us 2 benefits. Initiative, you have advantage on initiative rolls. Surprising Strike. During the first round of each combat, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn yet. If your sneak attack hits any target during that round, the target takes extra damage of the weapon's type equal to your rogue level. Advantage on initiative combined with our initiative proficiency and our high dexterity means we should be going first most of the time, and at least before one enemy that we can target with all our extra damage. Character level 8 also increases our sneak attack damage to 2d6. Character level 9 brings us our first rogue ability score improvement. We're taking Fey Touch. Now, bugbears are originally from the Feywild, so this is actually on theme for us. It'll increase our wisdom by +1 up to a 16. This gives us the Fey Magic feature. Choose one first level spell from the Divination or Enchantment School of Magic. You always have that spell and Misty Step prepared. You can cast each of these spells once without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either spell in this way, you can't cast this spell in this way again until you finish a long rest. So, do you know what is a divination spell that increases our attack's damage? Hunter's Mark. Until the spell ends, you deal an extra 1d6 force damage to the target whenever you hit it with an attack roll. You also have advantage on any wisdom, perception, or survival checks that you make to find it. If the target drops to 0 hit points before the spell ends, you can use a bonus action to mark a new creature you can see within range. This spell does cost a bonus action, so it's not worth using on our ambush round at the start of combat. It also has a vocal component, so it might be tricky to cast it before combat breaks out without blowing your surprise if you're doing a little sneak mission. But for longer encounters, it's a nice buff to pull out to help our sustained damage after that initial big damage first round. Character level 10 brings us a brand new 2024 rogue feature that I'm actually pretty excited about. It's called Cunning Strike. When you deal sneak attack damage, you can sacrifice some of your sneak attack damage dice to add one of the following Cunning Strike effects. Poison, cost 1d6. The target must make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, it has the poison condition for 1 minute. It repeats the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. Trip, cost 1d6. If the target is large or smaller, it must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or have the prone condition. And lastly, Withdraw, cost 1d6. Immediately after the attack, you move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. More utility in a class that has always been pretty free to do what it wants is nice, so more of a good thing is a good thing. From here on out, the pertinent abilities to our build start coming less and less often, but don't forget that this is still rogue, so every level brings us some good stuff, like uncanny dodge, evasion, reliable talent, expertise, so on and so forth. I won't be touching on all those abilities because I just want to cover what's going to affect our specific build, but remember, rogue is full of good stuff. Also, our sneak attack damage goes up by 1d6 every 2 levels, so that'll be climbing consistently. Character level 12 gets us reliable talent. Whenever you roll an ability check that lets you add your proficiency, you can treat any d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. It's really nice getting this at rogue level 7 instead of rogue level 11, like it was in the 2014 rules. But the best part is that initiative is an ability check that includes our proficiency, thanks to the alert feed. So we can no longer roll low on initiative. Even if we have disadvantage, our initiative will always be at least an 18, and that'll go up to a minimum of 21 by the end of this build as our dexterity and our proficiency bonus increase. Character level 13 gets us our rogue level 8 ability score improvement. We'll increase our dexterity to 20. Character level 15 gets us another ability score improvement, this time from rogue level 10. That's what I love about the rogue and the fighter, that extra ability score improvement in the middle of the class. Really nice, really nice. We'll increase our wisdom to 18 with this one. And once again, character level 17 is going to get us our final ability score improvement at rogue level 12. We'll cap our wisdom out at 20. Unfortunately, with this multi-class, we won't ever qualify for an epic boon. So along with the +5 to dexterity and our +5 wisdom, our armor class is now a 20. Character level 18 will get the Envenom Strike feature from our subclass. When you use the poison option of your Cunning Strike, the target also takes 2d6 damage whenever it fails the saving throw. The damage ignores resistance to poison damage. This ability offsets the 1d6 cost of the poison effect on Cunning Strike, making it by far our best Cunning Strike option. We should be using this every round unless we want to use one of the other effects. And because of the wording of this one, whenever it fails the saving throw, and in the poison effect it says the target repeats the saving throw at the end of each of its turns. That means that when the target fails those subsequent saves against the poisoned condition, they also take 2d6 poison damage. So not only are we getting an extra 1d6 damage in our sneak attack, we're also applying a damage over time effect. Next up, character level 19 gets us an improvement to our cunning strikes. This feature is called Devious Strikes. It adds additional effect options we can use with our cunning strike. There's Daze, which costs 2d6. The target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or on its next turn it can only do one of the following: move, take an action, or take a bonus action. Knockout costs 6d6. The target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or it has the unconscious condition for 1 minute, or until it takes damage. And Obscure costs 3d6. The target must succeed on a Dexterity saving throw, or it has the blinded condition until the end of your next turn. Now, all three of these are a form of crowd control, very useful at high levels to protect your party from powerful monsters. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 effects target Constitution saving throws, which most high-level monsters are very good at. Character level 20 brings us to our highest level of sneak attack dice for this character, which is 8d6. And that's it, levels 1 through 20. Those are the mechanics of the build. So this character is going to be pretty straightforward to play. Our greatest strength comes from going first in combat, or at least before somebody that we can target. We don't even necessarily need to surprise enemies, as none of our features rely on the surprise condition, only on attacking creatures that haven't taken a turn yet. So if we just get into combat the normal way, we're still rolling high initiatives, we can still get our features out even without sneaking around. We also have the initiative swap feature, so even with our high dexterity, proficiency, reliable talent advantage, if somehow there's nobody going after us, but we have a teammate who goes before the enemies, we can just, put our hands together and beg our party member to swap with us so we can get that extra 10d6 damage from our surprise attack feature. So while we don't have to play like an ambush rogue with this build, a little bit of preparation can help our damage even further. If we can apply our poisoner feat poison to our weapon before our first turn, and maybe even if we get a hunter's mark off on a target before combat starts, that's going to feel great. So I'd always try and find sneaky, cheeky ways to get those features in there. I think the poisoner feat is going to be a little more likely. Getting a hunter's mark off before combat is going to be tough a lot of the time. That's my cat Adele. And even if you don't get them off ahead of time, after that first big damage round, I would definitely activate Hunter's Mark on your subsequent rounds. You'll be giving up 1 or 2 unarmed strikes that are dealing 1d8 each, but you'll be getting an extra d6 on all 3 of the attacks that come from your attack action. Plus, every subsequent round after that, you'll be adding the d6 damage to your bonus action attacks as well. So obviously, we're built for some massive damage here. From as early as level 1, we can make multiple attacks at 3d6 damage each. Then by level 6, it's 5 attacks, each one dealing 1d8 and 2d6 damage. Our sneak attack is going to be 1d6 at that level, but then from level 7 to 20, it'll grow all the way up to 8d6. Also, the poison option from Cunning Strike is going to add an extra 1d6 damage to our sneak attacks, thanks to the Assassin's Envenom Strike feature. However, while this character's damage is substantial, the defense is not too shabby either. As reactions, we're going to have Deflect Attacks level 4, to reduce the damage we take from mundane attacks. We'll have Uncanny Dodge at level 10 to half the damage we take from any source. And at level 12, we'll get Evasion to lessen or nullify dexterity save damaging effects. On top of that, our Long Death subclass will give us temp HP whenever we finish off an enemy creature, giving us some nice sustain through longer fights. We'll also get some utility through applying debuffs on enemies with our Cunning Strikes and our Devious Strikes. This character is pretty well rounded, definitely leaning a little heavy in the damage direction, but it's built for anybody who's looking to start a combat counter at 100%, who likes to make a lot of attack rolls and believes that the best way to help their party is by killing anyone and anything that threatens them. I like that this character starts off combat dealing as much damage as they need to. A lot of my builds are like, build up your damage, cast Hunter's Mark, cast Divine Favor, cast Guardian of Nature, things like that to sort of grow into more damage, but this guy can just come in right from the beginning and take advantage of that surprise attacks feature. So if you want to play a martial character who ends fights before they begin, look no further than the Bugbear Brawler. Thanks for tuning into this week's build. I haven't played many rogues in my time as a D&D player, so it was a lot of fun to sort of get into those mechanics and visualize this character. Let me know what you thought of the Bugbear Brawler in the comments down below. We're through 9 of our classes at this point, and all that's left are the big 3 casters: sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. So come back next week to see a lightning blasting sorcerer. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.